glossing over it in my memory, but I don't remember reading about at any point whistleblowers.
Yeah, these OPCW whistleblowers came out. Yeah, and they all ended up getting fired. But they're the ones that said that it was Al Qaeda. It was the Nusra Front that did it.
Yeah. What was their evidence of that?
Right. That's what I was going to say. So in Forbes last week, they said he's worth $446 billion now. He's not just the richest man in the world. He's the richest man in the world by 100%.
Outside of Saudi Arabia and Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, because we don't really know. We don't have any idea.
They're laughing over there. They're like 440 billion. That's cute.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
So optically, not the best. That maybe he's the kind of guy in charge with it, but the idea of what they're doing,
I think, is
music to both of our ears.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you think that could go? I mean, I love the idea of slashing the waist. Right.
Me too.
Do you think it could? Do you think that there are things that he won't get access to from maybe an intelligence perspective or something like that that could lead to him accidentally slashing some things that we actually do need?
Probably not, because I think if that were to be the case, people like John Ratcliffe and Tulsi Gabbard would go to the president and say, listen, just between us, there's this operation, there's this, program. It needs to be protected, and they would be okay.
Well, that's the other question that I was going to ask you. Just siphon right into it. Someone like Tulsi Gabbard. I like Tulsi.
Me
from
too.
What I've heard. So you're a fan too.
I am a fan. I wrote about it a couple of weeks ago.
Why do you like her?
She's got guts. First of all, she's qualified, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And she's got the guts to stand up to people. She stood up to the DNC. She stood up to the Democratic leadership in Congress. She's a lieutenant colonel in the Army. I guess now it's the Army Reserve. I mean, that all of that is good. What I was also thinking is that she's a supporter of transparency. She supported Ed Snowden. She's been supportive of Julian Assange. She said a couple nice things about me. I don't know her well enough to actually, ask her for a favor or anything, but I've met her once or twice.
We can work on that.
I hope so. I've tried. I've reached out a number of times.
We'll get working.
Thank God. No, I won't say it on the air, but anyway.
We protect our friends in New Jersey. We got you. Don't worry.
Thank you. So I'm optimistic. I love that so many important Democrats accuse her of being a Russian stooge.
Oh, that's so funny.
A Syrian stooge.
Why did they say this?
Because she bucks the official DNC line. Yeah. She went to Syria and met with Bashar al-Assad. Good.
He's a leader, yeah.
He's a leader. I want people to be meeting with, back then when he was still in Syria,
yes.
I wanted them to meet with Bashar al-Assad. And also, when the United States when Barack Obama said, Bashar al-Assad gassed his own people. We gave him this red line. We said, don't cross it. And then he gassed his own people. Well, there were 12 United Nations whistleblowers that say that gas attack did not come from the Syrian government. It came, and these were the inspectors who were on the ground. They said it came from Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda fired that.
Al Qaeda?
Uh-huh. But remember, we're friends with Al Qaeda in Syria. We just sent a whole delegation from the State Department to meet with the new leader of Syria, who's Al Qaeda, and the co-founder of ISIS, by the way.
Right.
And we lifted the $10 million bounty that we had on his head. So it interfered with our plans.
All right, we got to take this rabbit hole real quick. We'll come back to Tulsi because you just took a middle road. And what I mean by that is when the Syria conversation comes up, we've done a lot of podcasts where it gets discussed in one way or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Joby Warwick wrote a great book on it that has more of the, Assad did it point. And he lays out a lot of good evidence for that. People cook him for it all the time and try to say it's bullshit, but he's going with what he knows. The two arguments, though, are that Assad did it, or then the Cy Hirsch argument of oh no, the CIA did it, which I've never seen good evidence for that. No. But you're saying you just took a middle road, and you said another rogue element may have done this. And, I got to tell you, maybe I'm glossing over it in my memory, but I don't remember reading about at any point whistleblowers.
Yeah, these OPCW whistleblowers came out, and they all ended up getting fired. But they're the ones that said that it was Al Qaeda. It was the Nusra Front that did it.
Yeah. What was their evidence of that?
They were on the ground testing, and they said that there was no evidence that a missile had been launched from the Syrian side, from the Syrian government side.
So this is after it gets done, obviously. They're going through the residue.
And what reason would Assad have to turn to chemical weapons? Especially after he had specifically been told by the United States that this was a red line, which turned out to be bullshit anyway. We didn't do anything.
That's right.
Like,
Talked about
better
that
not cross this line. Okay, you crossed it. Well, then you better not cross this new line. Come on, Barack Obama.
Yeah, Obama, we've talked about that a bunch. Obama, I have mixed emotions on that one because, first of all, that was a really stupid thing to say.
Mm-hmm. It was.
Secondly, afterwards, he had to try to like clean that up politically after it was all said and done at home, and that was messy how he did that.
Mm-hmm.
However, you know what it's like when your pride gets hit.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he said something stupid he should have never fucking said.
That's right.
And his pride was like, fuck you, we're going to bomb him.
Yeah.
Which would have started a new war. And there was...
Because the Russians were already based there.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't even going to go there, but that's just another layer to it. And he apparently, the way I understand it, is that there was a workaround here where he didn't have to go to Congress to get passed to take certain action that would have started a war. He could have effectively like said, I said red line, I'm going to protect my pride. And at the last minute, now he thought Congress was going to agree with him. He was very wrong about that. But he said, fuck it, let's do it right. Let's put it through Congress. They voted like 400 to 100 against it or something, whatever it was, something like that against it. And he couldn't do it. And I at least respect the fact that once he had the L, he didn't double the L.
That's right. That's right. I agree.
Would have been bad to get involved in something there, but we kind of, you know, if it wasn't Syria, we still did with what ended up happening with ISIS because of what was born in a lot of there too.
Have you ever been to Syria?
No.
No.
It wasn't on my list of vacation spots.
It's one of the most fabulous places I've ever
That's
been.
what I hear, but not in my lifetime.
Amazing. No, it's too dangerous. It's probably going to remain too dangerous for a long time. Friendliest people, best food. Incredible history. I mean, you know, you go to Greece, you see the Parthenon. You go to Rome, you see the Colosseum. You go to Syria, you go to Damascus, and the stuff that you're looking at is mentioned in the Bible.
Yes,
that's how old it is.
So much history.
Wow, I loved it. Loved every minute of it.
What do you think's going to happen there?
In the near term, nothing good.
Okay.
In the longer term, I could see slow development. They've been racked by war for so long. I don't think anybody wants more war at this point. The unknown is that the Iranians and the Russians were humiliated by what happened with Assad. It happened so quickly. You know, I remember it was exactly 1 week, 7 days before Assad was overthrown. He and his family got on a plane and went to Moscow. And people started saying, oh my God, he's running away. He's running to Moscow. But then he returned the next day to Damascus. But he left his family in Moscow. And then that same plane made 3 more trips to Moscow over the course of the week, presumably to take out money and artwork and personal effects and furniture or whatever. And then at the end of that week, he went back to Moscow and stayed. So this was a humiliation for the Russians because they had military bases there, including a major naval base. And remember, the day he was overthrown, the Russians made this announcement that they hoped that the new government of Syria would respect Russian bases in Syria. They just ran right over the bases and took them. More importantly than Russian embarrassment is this was the Iranian pipeline to Hezbollah. And then by extension to Hamas. So the Iranian weapons and cash and all the stuff that the Iranians were sending went across northern Iraq and across Syria, and then from Syria to Lebanon. And then, there's through a more informal pipeline from Syria to Jordan to Hamas, or Syria to Lebanon to Hamas. And it's gone now. Like that, just like that, it's gone. And at the same time, the Israelis essentially decapitated Hezbollah. They killed Hassan Nasrallah. 3 days later, they killed the guy who replaced Hassan Nasrallah. And now there's a guy nobody ever heard of, and half of his fighters have been killed or wounded. So for a while, there's going to be pretty much no Hezbollah, not meaningfully.
And Syria's economy, though,
That's a wreck.
it's been a wreck because essentially, I was talking to this guy on the phone that we're trying to get in for a podcast who met with Assad in like 2012. He's a Syrian.
Wow.
And told him what was going to happen here, if he didn't change his ways or whatever the fuck he told him.
Yeah.
So we're working on getting him in here. He has to get like approval to do it. So we'll see if that
That
happens.
would be exciting.
Yeah, it would be really cool. He's very, very smart. But, what he's saying is that, the whole economy is run on, I always forget the name of the fucking drug. What's it called again, Alessi? Captagon? It's run on that Captagon drug. Oh, you haven't heard about this?
Mm-mm.
So Captagon is like this meth, like club drug or something. And Assad transferred basically the Syrian economy into a Captagon trafficking economy.
Wow.
That pushes it, all over Europe and stuff like that where it's used. And Joby, when he was at the border of Syria, like last fall, they were watching all the trucks come across with the Captagon. So what this guy I talked to on the phone from Syria was saying is he's like, that's absolutely correct. The issue is that it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy because the U.S. put so many sanctions on Syria as a result of something allegedly very bad, with the chemical weapons, that it cut them off from so much of the world that this is how they have to stay afloat.
Sure.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.